Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, based on where the world you're watching from. It's February, the fifth day of February. And we all know and see, they say it's Black History Month or Black Story Month, where they tell our story. But wherever you're watching from, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Tampa_1960 TV, where we keep you up with what's going on in the neck of our wood. A lot is happening all over the globe. But as we continue to spread the news, it's just coming or oncoming. As they said, no news is good news, whether good or bad, it's news. So this morning we're gonna continue our morning talk. Look at this guy. While I drive, so what are you having this morning? Are you having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea? So one cup of coffee or tea, then I'll go. So I'm having some ginger, clove, and bitter lemon. In Jamaica we call it Cersei. And we'll drink Cersei tea before we go back to school after a long summer break to cleanse our system. But for the next half an hour, while you journey with me, come let's have a conversation. U.S. President Donald J. Trump is stating that Americans must move on from the Epstein files and situation because there's no one to hold accountable for the action. And we all see and hear and read that some of the prominent names that was associated with Epstein, and the former president Bill Clinton, they said he was a good friend or associate with Epstein. They say you see him photographed with Epstein. Chapter smooth, Father free, blessings to you. But the victims are crying out, and it's not one, two, or three, nor four, nor five, but it's a lot of victims. And they are saying they want justice. That's why they come out with the report. They are crying for help because they say they can't move on from what happened to them when they were small. They left a scar on them. And when you listen to the interview with some of the victims, a keen blessings to you and your family. When you listen to some of the victims, you wonder and ask yourself the question, where were their family? Where were their parents? So they were a minor when it happened to most of them. And you start to ask, did the parents of these children fail them? Or it was just a situation where most of the children, their parents was destitute and desperate of need. So they have to give up something in order to get something. The traffic ain't moving, so you can cut and dice as you want. Everybody late to go nowhere. And as we see some of the damning reports, it make you question all that is happening in that Epstein file. People start to question, is our president was in there or is he not? Because everybody playing politics. But the only people who suffer all over again is the victim. The victim have to go over it all over again. Because once they start to give reports about what happened to them, they have to go over it. So it's gonna be fresh in their brain. Although they are adults now, but they're gonna have to tell what happened, how it happened, when did it happen, and all that. So they are gonna go through it again. And at the news conference when they were talking, you could see the hurt in most of these women. But who do you blame? The ones that say you can't blame the victim. They say money is power, but a lot of people with money and influence use it for the wrong reason. Because money can influence or change a decision, change a guilty plea into a not guilty plea. Because somebody can give you an envelope or give another person an envelope and it reach the right person, things change. And we see it happen over and over and over and over again. We see it oftentimes. They say the rich get away with crime while the poor suffer. Because money can change things. They say money and your complexion. Well, what are your thoughts this morning with the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, said Americans must move on from the Epstein file, move on to something else. So you're going to leave the victims crying out. So why move on when we got people to prosecute for what they did to the victim? So in America, there's no accountability. There's no one to held responsible for what happened to those minors, or when they were minors, or they are adults now. One girl said when they recruit him, she did have to recruit other girls. So it was like a chain with many links. They said the glamour is not how you see it. A lot of the time, your parents can afford a Jordan or a nice pair of clothes, but a lot of people, as we said, they choose what they see with their naked eyes and think it's all glitter and glamour. But it's not what it seemed like. So they get caught up. And when they get in so deep, it's hard for them to come out. Just for howdy to you as well. Howdy. Sound like a Caribbean saying howdy. A lot of the victims who is crying out, they say they can't move on from the scars that leave with them. But it's a hard thing to move on from. Hard situation. Because when something happened to you when you were a teenager, it lived with you for the rest of your life. It lived with you. You can't move on from that scar until you get the help that you need. So a lot of them have to go through therapy. A lot of them go through mental illnesses because when they look back on what happened to them, a lot of them become alcoholic. A lot of them become a substance abuser because we see it in the street almost every day. By driving on the street, we see tons of them walking up and down the streets in Atlanta, Georgia. And people are saying we can not imagine what happened to these people or the victim when they were young. it hurts as a parent to know what these minors are been through. When you hear the voice cracking up when they're talking, the ordeal that they've been through, as a parent, did we fail our children? Sometimes we know our children wanna wander away and do adult stuff. Hakeem, you're from Malaysia. Asian Pacific, Asian. But we're gonna have to start ask ourselves a question. Do we know our children that well? Do we know the things that they're doing and what they're doing? Are our children be truthful to us as parents? Because most of the time, kids just want to do curious things. It's like most children, what it's a curiosity kill the cat. That's what we would say back home. So you don't want to be too curious. And sometimes we have friends who doing the wrong things and they drawing us in. They draw us in because we see where they're wearing the flashy of things and their parents can't afford it. But we know their parents can't afford it. Sometimes we don't ask where they get it from. We just jump and say, hey, that look nice, and say, hey, you can get it too. And next thing, all of you in the same predicament. If you go head down first, it's hard for you to come out. And that's what happened to these victims. They were in it too deep and they couldn't back out. Because one of them said that Epstein threatened her life. But you can't even hold Epstein accountable because he passed away. Do you think America is ready to move on from the Epstein files and the Epstein situation, our saga, our stories? As the president stated, it's not that easy. But wherever you're watching from, thanks for watching. Until tomorrow morning, walk good. Remember, tell somebody that you love them because it may be the last. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to no man. So live your best life today. Live your life without regrets. The things you do or say so live your life the way you want to live. For peace and love as we continue to live in this world. Blessings. Until tomorrow morning. Walk good. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Tampo_1960 TV, where we keep you up with what's going on in the neck of our wood. I'm out of here. What good?